That means it's going to be a long poem. Of where the land meets the sea in Rancho Palos Verdes. About what happened then and now, alas and alack. Pleistocene artifacts, Pliocene fossils, and 13 terraces created when the sea rose and then receded back. Los Angeles County tried to extend Crenshaw to where the land meets the sea. Bulldozers groaned. Dirt was piled up on the hill. Pressure was too much to bear. The Portuguese Bend landslide began when a water pipe erupted on August 29, 1956. It's still moving down. No successful repair has been effected sufficient to fix the massive movement of this land so fair. The house I live in was cut in 3 and moved from Cherry Hill Lane 2, where the land meets the sea in Rancho PV back in 1962. Geologists gathered and studied and talked and decided that caissons would stop it. A gigantic structure pounded into the ground, and the landslide merely toppled it. In 1976, von der Linden from Stanford was here. He wrote a doctoral dissertation and set forth 4 ways to manage the slide, the biggest in the nation. $2 million came from the state to remove pressure at the top of the slide. The dirt was dug up and placed at the toe to separate the slide from the tide. Von der Linden's second suggestion was thus in place. Support the slide from below. Then the city got a chance to sell the dirt to Torrance, and in return for money, they removed the toe. In 1987, Perry Ehlig told the city he wanted to move the road back to where the surveyors said it had been, according to county code. You won't have to repair the road for 25 years. He was convinced of that. The city council was delighted. They approved the plan right off the bat. By June of 1988, after several talks, Perry Ehlig wrote a second memo, quote, "It didn't work," unquote. Quote, "I want gabions," unquote. 15-foot wire baskets filled with rocks. The gabions were built too low, and the ocean carried them out of reach, but for a while they stretched from Inspiration Point to the Portuguese Bend Club beach. 2 houses in the club were threatened as the Portuguese Bend landslide rolled on. Contour grading removed support at the toe. The dirt was piled high and collapsed into the ocean below. So the slide collapsed into the ocean and merrily went on its way where the land meets the sea. In Rancho PV, the Portuguese Bend landslide continues sliding to this day. 42 years later, the landslide's moving still, filling fissures, draining ditches, dewatering wells. Nothing man has come up with has affected the landslide's will. Why, you ask, can't the city council understand that it's landslide 42 versus Rancho Palos Verdes, 0. So declare the battle over and affirm the embattled moratorium. That's my recommend memorandum for the 21st millennium, where the land meets the sea in Rancho PV.
Good afternoon. I'm Diana McIntyre. I'm a city employee here. I'm the docent coordinator, the curator, the resident ham, but I am not a poet. I am here to read poems from two other poets who were unable to do so. The first one is called Point Vicente, and it's by Bill Adams. Bill Adams was one of our very, very active docents here at the center. He is a very, very talented man in many ways, made many of our small boat models and so forth, and did a tremendous amount of research into them. He wrote this poem about Point Vicente shortly before he died earlier this year. Point Vicente, 200 feet above, I stand above a sea clough. A sea breeze brings a breath of brine, and sea spray cools my cheeks. Below, waves crash upon the rocks, then crackling pebbles sound them back to sea. Beyond the foam, a canopy of kelp floats lazily. Beyond the kelp, some 50 yards from shore, a gray whale flukes, then dives, and runs its head into the stony floor, sucking up its sustenance. It journeys on in passage from frigid Bering Sea to warm lagoon. 6,000 miles it travels to give birth, then rolling gently, presents its birthing calf for other mammals crowded into boats to see. Then snuggling its great head against the craft, takes pleasure in caresses from kindred hands. Out in the channel, tall dorsal fins arise, a pod of 80 orcas feeding. On a run of squid, accompanying them, their cousin dolphins join the feast. Beyond the orca, the giant blue whales swim, escorted by humpbacks and deep-diving sperm, all heading for depth and warmth in the Sea of Cortez. Close to shore, a gray fin cuts the surface of the sea, the constant swimming shark, eating its way from birth to death, over millions in your depths I cannot see. And now the sun sinks down, spreading its glorious colors in the sky, making black the lovely Catalina's silhouette and darkening the water. But now it's gone, leaving pastel clouds above the sea. The sea, how great, how wonderful. From you all life has sprung. Will you someday return for me? The second reading, the second poem is by our youngest Ulster, Lou Hawk, who is 92 years old, who we hoped would be able to read it himself. He did such a dynamite job at the rehearsal, but he felt that he couldn't do it today. The title is Reveille. Wake up to the sunshine on pools sparkling blue. Wake up to cool breezes fresh from sea rendezvous. Wake up to cliff tops with their wondrous sights on sun-golden days and moon-silvered nights. Wake up to breakers with foam crests of white when spindrift blows the angel's delight. Wake up to seagulls in flight smooth or steep. Wake up to pelicans splash, dive to the deep. Wake up to purse seiners in nightly light show. A plane above spots fish schools below. Wake up to the whales, the dolphins, the seals, who bay like hound dogs for midnight meals. Wake up to tennis, putt on the green, aerobic classes, and swim in between. Wake up to walking, wipe off that frown. Everyone knows there's more up than down. Wake up to gardens with colors galore, which brighten our lives from the hill to the shore. Wake up to sunshine, the sea, and the air. Wake up to peninsula life, the best anywhere. Thank you.
I'm Delane Morgan, and I will be reading 3 poems. The first of these is called Serenity. Serenity. Serenity is lyric music, the sound of strings, the peace of sunset and tranquil ocean, the moment lived, or its quiet gift. The golden light lingers, sustained as time pauses, before the tide brings in its wake the revolution of changing light and movement. Serenity lies in the curl of the wave. My next poem is called Peninsula. Peninsula, where sea meets rock, ocean, mountain, from sea and air, a coastal hill. Gray waves, gray skies erode the cliffs, layered in fog, beneath the stars, before the dawn. Horizon bound, cliff and city, a peopled hill at the world's edge. Peninsula, a continent. Peninsula, tile roofs, white walls from the water, golden light across the land, hibiscus, jasmine, bougainvillea, eucalyptus, green lawns and blooming gardens, pink and red skies, kaleidoscope, black jeweled hills. Peninsula, continental. My last poem is a very recent work, and the name of it is Surf Talk. I hear the ocean in my dreams, the mighty roar of a 10-foot wave crashing above me, and remember the strong arm of my father snatching me out of its depths. I remember water swirling about my childish feet as I grew dizzy looking at its bubbles. I remember days searching for shells after a storm and polishing amber fans, rubbing them with seaweed until they shone. I hear the ocean in my dreams. For I have walked beaches all my life, from Florida to Malibu, explored the shrouded mist of a gray dawn, smelled the warm sand in the sun, found the moon in phosphorescent waves, and watched a storm of rollers dash against the pier, destruction heralding fire. Now the ocean breeze and the rhythmic beat of the surging surf lighten my mood when burdens are heavy and progress slow, like walking in deep sand. I hear the ocean in my dreams. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Leslie Lopez, and my first poem that I'm going to read for you today is called Cliffs at the Sea. High above the ocean they rise, leaning upwards to touch the sky. Grandeur is what they are to me, peering down from them, cliffs at the sea. White the waters crash below, thrashing with salt water's toe. Swirling tide flows in and out, humbled only by cliffs tall and stout. Somewhere between jumping off and falling,